Hey guys and gals, I had a request to do an assembly video on an A-pillar gauge setup. Now this is all glow shift, pretty nice stuff. The three gauges I decided on was oil pressure, awesomely important, water temperature, and a 30-pound boost gauge. The next smaller one was 15, and I don't know how much I'm going to run, but I possibly at some point I'm going to run more than 15. So we go to the next photograph here. These are the four buttons that you drill holes for to hold the two pieces together, because you have a cover over the cover. You keep your old A-pillar cover there also. So the only thing with that is the instructions tell you to use a certain size drill bit for these push trees, and it was literally impossible for me to get those in. So I ended up having used a 1564 drill bit to get these push pins in. They're tight, it's no problem. So that's one of the first things you do. So when you do that, go ahead and use a 15/64 drill bit. Just be careful. I lined everything up off the top of the pillar post, as because the bottom there was some problems on my setup. We go to the next photograph. Now this is the inside of the pillar of the wiring. What I've done here is pretty simple. I wanted to make sure you have to drill the holes to get all the wiring and tubing and everything through. So what I did is I actually took some shrink tubing and I put it through where the holes are. I radiused the hole so it wouldn't cut the wires. I know there's not much vibration there, but I slipped over just regular heat shrink tubing. I didn't shrink it or anything. And then I used duct tape to tape everything down so it doesn't flop around when it when you're trying to assemble everything and get in the way of your tabs there. Also, if you look on the very bottom, you can see I don't use regular electrical tape. That kind of sucks. It doesn't really work right. I use the cloth wiring tape, which is pretty neat stuff. It's ultra thin. It sticks to itself like crazy. So that's why I use it for the wiring here. Now next we get to the next picture. As you can see, or barely see, I can see it pretty well, the magic marker line. My dash is very close to the A-pillar, and I could barely get it snapped in with just the standard cover. So I had to actually relieve this part down here, and you can see the line. I took almost the whole bottom part on. I left the edge cover there. So that's how much I had to take off. Now we get to the next picture, and you can see where I cut it all back. Like I said, it's really tight, so you have to do test fitting. Yours might fit in there nice, but mine didn't. It was too tight, so I had to relieve it back that far. This again, this is the cover. Next picture, and you can see here where I've had to do a relief for all the wiring to come out the bottom. Now I wasn't sure exactly how to get the wiring out from underneath here, and I had a person tell me that he just kind of ran it in a little channel down by the kick panel. So I checked, everything fit inside there. So this is just a cutout for all the wiring to fit inside there and the tubing and everything else. So that's you can see where I cut it out, and then I actually used my jeweler stuff, but you can use a Dremel. I just cleaned it all up really nice and made it look good and rounded the corners so it just didn't look like a kind of shabby looking, even though you probably will nobody will probably ever see it. So we get to our next photo, and this is where it's all finished. I just, like I said, I just radiused everything, and again on this you have to cut this back so the wiring can fit. Now if you look, when I cut this and finished it, I didn't have it all the way up to the outer cover. So I went ahead and finished that off, everything over to the outer cover. So, and you can see here the cloth tape, which is, like I said, really thin and really good stuff. It sticks well. So I got that all finished and looking good. Again, you won't be able to see it. I went ahead and I put in the little trees to hold the two parts together. and went and test fitted it, and everything looked good. So this is what I had to do to get everything together. Again, it all comes down to getting your wires and everything routed right, taped, clearancing, make sure everything fits. One other thing I didn't mention was I've labeled each one where the wires come out. I've labeled all those which ones they are, because it's going to be confusing because everything's taped up now. So I just went ahead and labeled everything before I taped everything in. So this is what I did, and it seemed to work pretty well for me. So that's where we're at, and hope this helps somebody else. So everyone, take care and see ya.